I'm all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, to hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know who we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocket here, ain't stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Tell 'em I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself.
What's going on, kids? It is Friday. We are going to be off Monday, like all of you will be. We're going to be off Monday. What am I going to be doing Monday? Monday, I got 2 fantasy drafts. One's with this guy over here. 2 fantasy drafts Monday. Got one tonight. It's fantasy season. It's football season. Football season. I love it. I love it. I hope you guys enjoy your Labor Day weekend. I will definitely be enjoying it. I'm going to do the cooking on Sunday. I'm going to do all that cooking up on Sunday. Burgers, dogs, the whole deal. Whole deal. Yesterday was a tough show, but some of you did reach out and tell me that you appreciated the tone, some of the details, me not kind of digging my heels in anything more sensational than than necessary. Didn't enjoy the show, but I was happy with our tone with it. But it was a tough subject. Details are still coming out. And if anything, breaking it and really, really relevant is brought to light, we will obviously bring it to you as well, because we're breaking stuff. We're breaking stuff here at Brett Breaks Things. We're going to break some more news. We're going to break a few things today, and we're going to follow up on some breaking details of some other stuff that we've talked about just this week. But today, we're shifting gears back to our trade partners, our relationship on a global scale with our allies. De minimis exemption. De minimis exemption. Now, that runs up today. And I was not at all, because I am not an economist, I'm not a lot of ists. I didn't know really what de minimis exemption was. I'm not sure I had ever heard it till we started getting rumblings that the exemption was going to run up today, and we started doing our digging. And Scott did some great digging on this, and there's been some really good reporting out of the Washington Post about this as well, and I'm going to get to that. De minimis exemption is what we're going to start the show with. What is it? De minimis exemption was a customs rule where $800 or less of goods being shipped by one person at one time is exempt from tariffs. That's what de minimis exemption is. One purchase, one time, under $800 value, exempt. You could just do it. Okay? This was the main cog. This was the main apparatus with which companies, especially like Shein, Temu, and Amazon Haul, functioned. It's why they could offer the prices they could offer. If you bought something from them off Temu or Shein or TikTok Shop, Shopify, when you bought something off of them, one item, one time, exempt. That's why they could offer such low shipping fees, quick turnaround time, and great prices. Unbelievable prices. Prices you couldn't really find here in the States. Prices that, U.S. manufacturers, frankly, couldn't compete with, which is one of the pushbacks against the de minimis exemption. Domestic companies didn't like it. And it's kind of a bipartisan pushback. They say, it's helping out China a little bit too much and their economy. It's hurting domestic economy. And they argue it's also a great way for China to send us fentanyl. Not my argument. I'm just telling you what they're saying out there. They're, sending us fentanyl, heroin, other illegal drugs, one package, one time. Now, these packages also face less scrutiny because less money is involved. They know that de minimis exception products or packages are less than $800. That means less chance of major fraud. That means we're going to allocate our resources and, how we scrutinize the packages on the way in a little differently if it's worth more than that. With these, we can be a little lighter, right? Not as much scrutiny on the packages under $800. Makes sense, right? This is not a good thing. Now, some people will argue this is a great thing for domestic manufacturers, but a lot more people are going to argue this is a terrible thing for the American people.
Worth $800 or less is expiring on Friday. As a result, the postal services in at least 20 countries are suspending shipping to the United States. The nightcap is still here. Can you explain this tariff exemption for small shipments? Because, you know, for every Temu, Shein, Amazon superfan out there, those little shipments are everything.
And they are about to get tariffed, you know, or I should say taxed. We should stop saying tariffs. Stop saying taxed. They're going to be taxed. There was something called a de minimis exemption, which those low-price goods that come in from overseas or come to us through Amazon from overseas were going to be exempted from any import taxes. As of Friday, that will no longer be true, so you'll be paying up for what was a set of formerly cheaper items than you could get almost anywhere else. So we will see inflation rates go up because that's the very bottom, really, of the cost rung, if you will. And we're seeing now tariffs on India that are at 50%, Brazil at 50%. We're seeing Japan with a framework of a deal, Europe with a framework of a deal. But we have an average tariff rate that is well in excess of 15%, the highest since 1934. That means higher prices ultimately for individuals, consumers, and higher inflation sometime before the year is out, even though it hasn't fully shown itself yet.
Okay, let's just stay right there. It hasn't fully shown itself yet, which is why a lot of people have said, I thought the tariffs were going to be a disaster. It's not yet a disaster. This one, U.S. consumers are going to feel it.
Oh, yeah, and they're going to feel it quickly. And, you know, inflation is one of the major reasons that Kamala Harris lost. People hate inflation. People feel it in their wallets. That changes the way they live their lives. It's a long time till the next presidential election, and it's actually quite a bit of time till the midterms, which I think, you know, this is part of Trump's fear that he needs to rush the gerrymandering because this kind of stuff is going to be wildly unpopular. His party's in charge. They will, or, you know, in a normal world, they would be the ones facing the consequences at the ballot box.
It is going to be wildly unpopular. That is true. That is true. Allison Layfield, the Vice President of Product Development for eGlobal, a domestic and international shipping solutions provider. And by the way, there's lots of those global shipping providers all over the world, major shipping companies in foreign countries. We're going to talk about the effect on them in just a second, or rather their decisions' effect on us. We'll get to them in a second. But she said, quote, I don't know that consumers are really understanding the impact this will have. Consumers are really going to have some sticker shock. Okay, first of all, you can forget the 2-day, same day, 2-day shipping. That's no longer going to be a thing. A lot of these shipping companies are going to have to figure out what this looks like. Okay, but we've had a glimpse of what this may look like because in April, Trump tried this out. He tried a little trial in China and Hong Kong. He stripped the de minimis exemption from China and Hong Kong. Immediately, millions of packages were backed up through confusion, over scrutiny, trying to make sure that each package was going to adhere to the $800 range, and also figuring out what levy, tax to levy, what tariff to levy on each package. It created such a backup. 1 million packages alone at JFK Airport. 1 million alone at JFK Airport. It was called by some experts a paperwork shock that they were absolutely not prepared for. That's just China and Hong Kong. That's just China and Hong Kong.
Brett, as you know, and people at home don't really know, but my wife, one of her businesses she does, she orders hair pieces, wigs, toppers from China, and she sells them, here to cancer patients and people that have hair loss issues and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Awesome business.
We were unaware back in April or May or whatever it was when we got a shipment and we got a letter from DHL telling us in order for our package to release, we had to pay a tariff.
You have to pay it.
And that's when I first learned all about tariffs and what they really were, taxes. So this we've been dealing with this with our shipping. Now, sometimes some of the hair stuff she gets is under the $800 limit,
Yep.
so we don't have to pay the tariffs there. But when she has a bigger order, which, happens, we have to then pay the tariffs on that, which then, she tries not to, send the cost to the consumer too much, but now it's getting kind of out of hand.
Well-
And my wife is also a huge late-night shopaholic.
Yep.
Where she'll order off of Temu and Shein and all those
Yep.
things late night. And, now
with
it's not going to be worth to order a $10 pair of pants.
the business model is going to have to change if it's to survive. And your situation is going to be mirrored by millions of Americans. Okay? This is one of the many problems that are going to arise because of this, Scott. Bigger companies are going to be able to front load. They're going to be able to bring more over to America first and then deal it out domestically. The bigger companies are going to be able to do that. But who's not? Rod, this part's for you. My stepdad, Rod, is an amazing artist. He makes the most amazing handcrafted wood, salt and pepper shakers, letter openers, pens, just awesome stuff. He's truly talented and successful doing it. People love his stuff. Wonderful wedding gifts. This affects you, Rod. Smaller brands like Etsy. And anybody Etsy sized that deals with homegrown artisans who sell, handcrafted products like Rod, they're either going to have to just flat raise their prices, hope that their customer base can absorb it, or they're going to have to put extra notices on the shipping when you go to check out. There'll be a notice or something you have to click on to agree to. Hey, because of the de minimis exemption leaving, you now have to pay an extra blank, whatever it is, on top of the shipping. It's going to come in one of those two forms. Some people are going to be very transparent about it. Some people are going to be upfront about it. They're going to be honest. Some people are not. Some people may opt to bury such a notice on their website or where people purchase their products, not put that notice, just sneak it into the price somewhere, hoping that the consumer just says, I want that to the shopping cart, purchase. And then they get the bill on their statement. What is this extra $50? Whatever it may be. What might it be? Let's talk about it. What might it be? Okay, so for countries with a tariff rate of 15% or less, such as Britain, each package will incur an additional $80. $80 right off the top. 800 or less from Britain, $80 on the top. Now that might go right on the price, or it might be on the shipping, or like Scott said, UPS and DHL, they're sending bills to the receiver before they're allowing the product to get to you. They send you the bill. By the way, pay this $80 and we'll give you your package. Bonkers. Parcels originating from countries with a rate of 16 to 25% tariff, $160. Anything 25% or more, an additional $200. We're talking, if you bought that clever shirt that you thought was funny off a TikTok shop, cost you $30. Now, if it's from the wrong country, $230.
It's a designer now.
Is that what it's going to be?
It's now
Holy
designer.
crap,
You're
Scott.
spending $130 on a shirt. It's designer. You don't. Yeah.
Next year's Met Gala is going to be like Rihanna showing up in a Temu sweatshirt with a Shopify jorts on.
I love it.
That's going to be high society. Holy crap! I almost cussed. It's brilliant, Scott. You should get out in front of that. It's going to create a whole new level of high society. So letters, documents, and gifts under $100, they're going to still be exempt. But now, to verify that it is truly a letter or a document or a gift under $100, those packages will be highly scrutinized. It will take days, possibly weeks more time to get your letters, documents, and gifts under $100. It continues. Postal operators in Mexico, Asia, and the Pacific, European nations, the major postal services in these countries, they're not playing this game, or at least until they figure out the rules. Everybody's stopping shipment. All your shipments that you had just made, I'm talking in the next 24 or last 24 to 48 hours, go check them out. See if they're not canceled. Right away, canceled. Germany, temporarily suspended business customer parcels to the U.S. Spain, no more packages under $800 to the U.S. France, suspending all packages sent to the U.S. Suspended. Mexico, suspending all packages sent to the U.S. starting Wednesday. India, suspending packages. Thailand, South Korea, Singapore, New Zealand, Japan, Australia, all of them, suspending packages to the U.S. right now. Does this seem like a big deal? Because it's a giant deal that is not getting enough attention. But in this whirlwind of authoritarianism, something like this can get lost in the news cycle somehow. Some people are talking about it. More people need to be talking about it. What's this going to cost you? Yale economists estimate that it's going to be about $11 billion per year on the American economy, on the American citizens' pocketbook. About $136 per family is what they estimate. Here's the thing. 70% of packages going to the lower income class in America are de minimis exemption, or were. 50% for wealthier people. That means 70% of the lower economy Americans were using this. 70% of their packages were used by this. When is your vote for Trump good? When are you going to stop sacrificing for this vote you made? When does it stop?
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett Breaks Things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
Okay. All right. I'm going to let that marinate. I encourage you to go check out the de minimis exemption expiring per Trump's order and the effect it's going to have on you and your family. Electronics, school supplies, clothes, all sorts of things that you as Americans love to buy. There's some changes coming. Again, wanted to mention, won't be here Monday, off for Labor Day. Also want to say, hey, if you can donate, I know a lot of you are return donors. A lot of you put monthly donations on there, so it automatically donates, which I can't even express to you the gratitude for you. Anybody who may be new to the show and you enjoy it, find value here, anything at all that you could donate, I promise you would be well used. We are just trying to avert disaster. Anything expensive breaks in here, it's going to get dubious, baby. It's going to get shaky. So please, just go to brettbreaksthings.com, hit the donate button. It's that simple. I appreciate you very, very, very much. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to update some stories, okay? We're going to update some stories now. When we broke the Lisa Cook story, we didn't break it, but when we broke it here on this program, we talked about Lisa Cook at the Fed board, and I think I did a really good deep dive with Scotty's assistants, Washington Post, Axios, a bunch of great reporting, allowed us to bring you some really relevant details, a little bit behind the curtain of what's going on with this Lisa Cook firing. On its surface, it looks like more weaponization out of this administration, the FHFA and Bill Pulte specifically. On its surface, that's what it looks like. But if you take a deeper look, it could really affect the U.S. economy over the next handful of years and the decisions that are made at the Fed. We know Trump is obsessed with Jerome Powell. He's obsessed with control at the Fed board, and this is a huge step in that direction. He said himself, we'll have a majority soon. Well, when this broke, we told you that she's going to sue. She's going to sue to stay on the job. And that is happening as we speak. What is being dealt with in the court right now, and she did sue in Washington. She sued Trump's firing of her. She's suing to stay on the job, and she's suing to show that there is no cause for her firing at all. But first, they're dealing with the first part that I just mentioned. Right now, in discussion is she going to be allowed to go right back to work? Is she going to be allowed to continue doing the important work she does at the Fed right now while all of this gets worked out? That's what they're going to decide first.
Well, we have an update, Brett.
All right.
14 minutes ago, the hearing officially ended without a ruling from the judge on whether Lisa Cook can remain a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors while her lawsuit plays out. Her lawyers had asked the court for a swift ruling on that issue at the start of the 2-hour hearing today. So no ruling as of yet. I don't know if they're going to come up with a ruling on Tuesday or,
I mean, Scott, this one's heavy, man. This one has a ton of implication on what happens going forward with these Trump firings. We told you about some of the other firings from the heads of agencies that the Supreme Court did not say anything about. If this lawsuit does not go Trump's way and it gets kicked up to the Supreme Court, this is going to be monumental. I told you FDR tried this once, and the Supreme Court immediately and unanimously said the firing was unjust, and immediately reinstated the Fed governor that he had fired at the time. Will that be the case this time? The Supreme Court has leaned and hinted towards that the Fed is a special case and should not be politicized or weaponized. They have said that. They have repeated that. But it's going to be important. I told you 3 things that are really important here. One is an allegation of mortgage fraud cause enough to fire a Fed board governor. That's one problem Trump's team faces. Second problem, somebody has to decide if Trump can unilaterally fire somebody at the board. Is this something he can even do? That's going to have to be decided. And then I told you there was a third one. Can you even apply any allegations? And by the way, there has been no charges against Lisa Cook. Even now, there have been no charges against Lisa Cook. They are allegations. And the third point was, even allegations themselves, should they be considered at all if they happened before this person was working at the Fed? Anything before that, is that cause to fire her now? Well, Polt is trying to take care of that third eventuality, that third issue, as he has filed a second criminal referral against Lisa Cook. And this time he tightened up his verbiage a little bit because the Trump team sees the impediments to their majority on the board as everybody else sees it. Those 3 key issues. Well, he's trying to take that third one off the board. This is a 2-parter now. He's saying there was an extra property, a condominium in Cambridge, he is claiming, that she got a mortgage for, claimed as a home. She claimed it as a home, not her primary, but she claimed it as a home. And then it was found later that she may have collected rent as a rental property. And those of you who bought property or know about it know that you get a much better rate and loan terms on a home, especially a primary, than you do a second or rental property. And they're saying that's another one. Polt himself said 3 strikes you're out. But the other part of this, Polt said specifically that she misrepresented these properties during an ethics filing while she was on the board. Meaning, you don't have to worry about that third issue because she filed with ethics this misrepresentation of her properties. Fraud. She filed with the ethics committee a fraudulent representation of her home situation. He's saying it was on the job. He's trying to take that off the board. He's trying to take it off the board. Whoop. Wrong button.
The legal showdown over presidential power that is headed to the courts tomorrow morning. A federal judge is set to hold a hearing after Fed Governor Lisa Cook sued the Trump administration in federal court today. She calls the president's efforts to remove her from the position at the Fed, quote, unprecedented and illegal. President Trump says he's removing Cook over allegations that she made false statements on a mortgage application. But is that sufficient cause? CNN's chief White House correspondent and anchor Caitlin Collins is live for us at the White House. And Caitlin, how is the White House responding to Cook's lawsuit?
Well, Jake, they've acknowledged that she is challenging her firing, that this is going to now set up this huge legal showdown starting in court tomorrow, where Lisa Cook's just trying to get that temporary restraining order where she can basically stay on the job as this is going to play out. They knew this was going to be a legal battle, Jake. Obviously, we've never seen a president do this in the Federal Reserve Board of Governors history before. And so this is going to be a familiar territory for them because they've done this with other people who have never really been fired by the executive branch before and now are in this position. And so they say they're well prepared for this legal fight, Jake. They do ultimately believe they're going to win out here. And several White House officials pointed out to me that in her lawsuit today, responding to this, that Lisa Cook did not deny the allegations that are being made against her exactly when it comes to these allegations of mortgage fraud. Obviously, that's going to play out in court, Jake, but the White House says as she is prepared to fight this battle, that so are they.
All right. So let the legal battle begin, with the fate of the Federal Reserve hanging in the balance. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. He wants a majority on the Fed board because in February they want to pick and choose Trump-friendly heads of the 12 central banks, 12 regional banks. They want to pick them all. They want interest rates down. We explained that in the show 2 days ago. Cook's lawyer said, quote, "This is an obvious smear campaign aimed at discrediting Governor Cook by a political operative who has taken to social media more than 30 times in the last 2 days and demanded her removal before any review of the facts or evidence. Nothing in these vague, unsubstantiated allegations has any relevance to Governor Cook's role at the Federal Reserve, and they in no way justify her removal from the board." The Fed Reserve, they had a statement as well. They spoke in a statement. They said they didn't plan to offer any arguments in this case, but they are seeking a prompt ruling that would remove the existence of any uncertainty. They just want to know where they stand. But they're not going to come to her defense. They're going to let this play out. Probably a smart move. And just wanted to mention, right around the time that Ken Paxton, yes, that criminal, AG of Texas, Ken Paxton, right around the time he and his wife Angela were getting divorced, it came out that he has 3 properties that he claimed as his primary residence on the mortgages, all 3. How about that? So Tulsi Gabbard did it. Ken Paxton did it, but it's Lisa Cook being removed from her position. And by the way, it is a federal and state crime to knowingly make false statements on mortgage documents. Mortgage fraud is generally not met with jail time. It's usually settled, but it is a crime that Ken Paxton has committed. How about that? Hey, Bill, are you listening? Go get him, Bill. Go get him.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Breaking news, breaking rules, breaking through. Back to Brett Breaks Things.
We're off Monday. Isn't that delicious, though? And by the way, Paxton did exactly what they're accusing Lisa Cook of doing. He and his wife had lived in this $1 million sprawling mansion that they resided in that was near the Senate, and they had 2 other properties that they rented out. And you know how they got caught? Some great investigative reporting found their other 2 residences on all the renting websites, listed as a rental property. You could just rent them from the paper or the websites. Just tracked it down like that. They just could rent either one of them. Exactly what they're accusing Lisa Cook of doing in Atlanta and now Massachusetts. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. All right. Firings, right? That's what we're talking about here. Firings. Another one. You ready for another one? A new one? Another one. You ready for another one? Oh, Wait till I bring you the details of this one. It's just the picture is becoming so crystal clear. That's why the conversation is shifting from, is Trump a dictator, to, are you okay, complicit, excited about a dictator? Because the if is being demolished by the evidence. The if he's a dictator, is he? It's gone. It's gone.
Meanwhile, the latest victim of the administration's purge is a name you might not know, Robert Primus. He is a member of the Surface Transportation Board, an independent agency which regulates freight railroads. The decision to remove him comes as the board weighs a proposed merger of the Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern Railroad companies.
This one's just perfect. So this guy, Robert E. Primus, he was on the Surface Transportation Board. He has been fired. He has been fired. And by the way, he was nominated for that role in 2020 by Donald J. Trump. He went to a Newark an Amtrak event in Newark. Got home, found out his work phone was locked. Locked. That's nice. That's classy. So this guy was just fired off this Surface Transportation Board. That doesn't sound like something as, with as much gravitas as the Federal Reserve. So why am I bringing it to you? This is why I'm bringing it to you, okay? He served on this board while a gigantic $85 million merger was being discussed on this board, a board that he sits on. This merger between Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern. All right, they're discussing, the legitimacy, the logistics, should they allow it, the effect it'll have on the American consumer. They were discussing that. And while they were making their decision, they haven't made it yet, Robert Primus gets fired. He said, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't received cause for termination, so I don't believe it to be valid. It's illegal. It's illegal is what he says. Another one, pushing back. This is what the antibodies look like. This is what fighting the infectious disease of authoritarianism looks like. The infectious disease of Project 2025, this is what the fight back looks like. It's illegal. I'm not leaving. Primus, when asked about possibly why, and in this interview, he was kind of led, hey, does it have anything to do with this merger that you're overseeing, that you have a hand in the decision? He said, you have to question, in terms of growth, in terms of what is needed for our national freight network and our supply chain, does that require further consolidation within the network? Meaning, he wasn't on board. He wasn't on board with these two mega corporations, mega companies, merging, consolidating power, consolidating wealth at the highest levels. He was against it. Now, I couldn't find a direct connection between Trump's wallet and this merger. But does anybody listening to this story right now believe there isn't one? I mean, honestly. He's in the business of making millionaires billionaires and having billionaires keep their billions. That's what his job is. That's what his job is. So I really, really hope something comes out. Somebody does some really good reporting, investigating, and hopefully soon the connection between this merger and Trump's bank account will come out or become more clear. Maybe one of them was at a dinner. The CEO of one of these companies maybe took him to a UFC fight. Maybe took him to an all-you-can-eat McDonald's buffet. I don't know. Hopefully the details will come out of what his connection. But I mean, does it need to be any more connection than billionaires are trying to become wealthier and one black man on a board, on the Surface Transportation Board, was standing in their way, and now the Don has him fired? I'm going to come to you with a favor, and then I'm going to ask a favor in return. So this guy's out. In the face of billions of dollars somebody else loses their job. Somebody else loses their job. And we are going to continue to follow this CDC story as it unfolds, because there has been a nominee for Susan Manares' job. We got into the story all week. CDC Director Susan Manares has been fired. She has been fired, okay? And people are outraged about this. It's not just Democrats. It's not just leftists. It's not just scientists and experts. I know a lot of people on the right have no interest in anything scientists and experts and Democrats and CNN and MSNBC have to say, but it's not just them. It's not just them. But experts in particular are saying this is a huge red flag. This is a big problem.
The tumult at the CDC visible outside its Atlanta headquarters today, following what some dubbed the Wednesday night massacre. Director Susan Manares fired after less than a month on the job. Four other top leaders resigned in protest. Three of them cheered by current and former CDC staff. Former Chief Medical Officer Dr. Deb Howry, infectious disease leader Dr. Dan Jernigan, and vaccine chief Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, telling us they're worried about the combustible mix of ideology and health.
Is America's public health in danger? America's public health is significantly in danger. And Dimitri, Dan, and I chose to leave together to send that bat signal.
They cited misinformation about vaccines they say played a role in the largest number of measles cases in 30 years. Changes to COVID vaccine recommendations pushed Dr. Daskalakis over the edge.
I learned about the change to the COVID vaccine schedule on Twitter.
The White House defending firing the CDC director, saying it's the president's prerogative.
She was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again.
No, she was not aligned with RFK's mission to dedicate the HHS to bat crap crazy conspiracies. That's what she was not aligned with. She was not aligned with a lot of things. There was a really great report by David Oval and Victoria Bessett, and it kind of outlined some of the contention that went on leading up to this firing. It was a culmination of some pretty big events leading up to her firing. One, she was obviously big time against the mass layoffs and the restructuring at the CDC. She was not a fan of those who were being fired and how many people were being fired, okay? A big one, and we're going to circle back to this, okay? A big one, at the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, he fired everyone. He fired the entire board. The entire board at the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices was fired and replaced with people who were open to conspiracy theories. And unsubstantiated reports out of not respected medical, agencies, the medical community, medical experts. No, these are people that will not stand in the way of RFK's insane agenda. That's who was replaced on this board. We're going to circle back to that. Two experts leaving in particular upset Miss Manares. So two people in particular. They were confidants of hers, and they were key cogs in the CDC machine. Lakshmi Panagiotakopoulos. She led the coronavirus vaccine work group of the CDC staff. She said, quote, she worried she could no longer help the most vulnerable members of our population after the government rescinded longstanding recommendations to immunize children and pregnant women. She's gone. Another one, Fiona Havers, who oversaw the CDC respiratory virus data. She was in charge of presenting it to the ACIP committee that I just mentioned to you. She stepped down, citing, quote, unfortunately, I no longer have confidence that this data will be used objectively or evaluated with appropriate scientific rigor to make evidence-based vaccine policy decisions. Gone. Another big thing that Manares pushed back on was Kennedy ordering the CDC to promote vitamins as measles treatments. He wanted to dial back measles vaccines, established current measles treatments, and promote vitamins as a measles treatment. That upset her greatly. And then the CDC shooting. The gentleman who shot at the CDC was another big event leading up to this firing. Now, she dismissed every single vaccine recommendation change that RFK presented. Every single time he tried to change the recommendations for vaccine, COVID vaccine, and other vaccine approvals, she pushed back. That was her big crime, not getting on board with his insane vaccine policies. That was her big crime. Bill Cassidy, I mentioned him yesterday. He went forward with RFK's nomination under the promise, after the promise from RFK that he would not change vaccine recommendations, and that's exactly what RFK did. Now Bill Cassidy, he is out here leading a Senate opposition to what RFK is doing in this firing, saying, hey, that ACIP committee that you replaced with all sycophants, they're supposed to meet September 18th to discuss, all sorts of things, immunization practices, hepatitis, coronavirus, measles, mumps, rubella. They're supposed to meet to set the guidelines for the vaccination policy concerning these afflictions. Bill Cassidy and other Republicans are out here saying they shouldn't even meet. This is insane. And if they do meet, we cannot rubber stamp anything that comes out of this committee. It has been completely weaponized. It is nothing but sycophants, no professionals, no doctors. This is dangerous. That's Senator Bill Cassidy saying this.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a call. You're back with Breck Breaks Things, where the truth hits harder than the headlines.
You said the following, and I quote, "We should not be giving black people the same vaccine schedule that's given to whites because their immune system is better than ours." Can you please explain what you meant?
There's a series of studies, I think most of them by Poland, that show that to particular antigens that blacks have a much stronger reaction. There's differences in reaction to different products by different races.
So I have 17 seconds left. Let me just ask you then. So what different vaccine schedule would you say I should have received? What different vaccine schedule?
Hold on. I want everybody look at Cheryl Hines back there. Ex-wife to Larry David. Look at Cheryl Hines. She is a professional actress. She is betraying nothing. She is watching her husband flail and flounder in desperate need of clearing his throat, and she is just stone friggin' cold in the face of all of this. She is a thespian. Just felt like that needed to be brought to your attention.
I mean, the Pollen article suggests that blacks need fewer antigens than...
This is so dangerous.
So you get the same measles vaccine.
Mr. Kennedy, with all due respect, that is so dangerous.
Blacks need fewer antigens. When I call Kennedy a dangerous crank, I'm not saying that as an insult or as hyperbole, but honestly is the most economical way of describing the man's views. He's not a doctor. He has no public health background. He has no medical credentials whatsoever. He's an environmental lawyer and, crucially, the scion of a very, very famous, wealthy, and influential political dynasty. And yet, here he is, offering up wacky diagnoses of people he passes on the sidewalk or the airport.
Also, blacks can outrun COVID-19 and outjump it as well. So how many antigens do I need, RFK? I am an unknowable shade of brown. If you see me on the street, you have no friggin' clue what I am. The only guesses you have is when I speak, and then you're even thrown off more. Because trust me, there have been plenty of people that when I worked in the computer repair business with my father, they'd speak to me on the phone, and then they'd be shocked when I show up. And it's not their fault. Many of them were a little older, from a different era. But my point is, how many antigens do I need? RFK. I'm just curious. For my own safety, Mr. Director of Health and Human Services. Jeez. I mean, am I a black? As he put, blacks can do this and blacks can do... Dude, just... coming out of your mouth is... It's not like technically racist, but it feels racist. It feels racist. Daskalakis, I read his resignation letter to you yesterday. So this guy, Dmitry Daskalakis, he was one of the 4 that resigned after she was fired. He was one of the people that were walking out to the cheers of those CDC workers that were protesting in front of the CDC with signs like "Save the CDC." Let's hear from him.
I think that, well, first I want to say one thing in response to something Dan said. So I think that an important thing to ask the secretary is, has he been ever briefed by a CDC expert on anything, specifically measles, COVID-19, flu? I think that people should ask him that in that hearing.
What would the answer to that be?
So the answer is no. So no one from my center has ever briefed him on any of those topics.
What?
Really?
So I don't know where he's getting his, really.
No one has ever briefed him on any of those issues that you just mentioned there, including measles, given the outbreak in the United States right now?
He's getting information from somewhere. Yeah, he's getting information from somewhere, but that information is not coming from CDC experts, who really are the world's experts in this area. Like, folks from around the world call us with questions around these infections. And we are seen as the expert. CDC is seen as the expert in these areas. CDC is the preeminent public health organization, I'm going to say, in the world. And he's not taking us up on several offers to brief him on these very important topics.
Why do you think that is?
On the issue, I don't know the answer. Perhaps he has alternate experts that he may trust more than the experts at CDC that the rest of the world regards as the best scientists in the areas.
I've consulted with a dead bear and the head of a whale, and we've decided blacks need less antigens. You want to hear more from RFK? No? Too bad.
But, the CDC is an agency that is very troubled for a very long time, and anybody who lived through the COVID pandemic and saw all of these bizarre recommendations that were not science-based, all the misinformation, understands that the CDC has on its website today that among the top 10 medical innovations, greatest medical accomplishments in history was abortion. This is one of the greatest medical accomplishments because it keeps small families.
You better watch your language, homie.
Fluoridation, giving kids a toxin, and vaccines. So there's a lot of trouble at CDC, and it's going to require getting rid of some people over the long term.
Oh, God. So he has been saying this for a while. He's been saying the CDC is disastrous. He's been saying it's been politicized by bureaucrats. He's got to purge it. It's his job to purge it. And now they're putting people like Jim O'Neill in, a sycophant. He's been tasked to replace Susan Menares at the CDC. He used to serve under George W. Bush as the senior health official before becoming a close ally of Peter Thiel. So Peter Thiel's getting one more of his boys in. He got JD, the couch whisperer, got him in. Now Peter Thiel's got this guy Jim O'Neill in a high position as well. Good job, Peter. Good on you, bud. Of course, this guy Jim O'Neill's not a physician in any way, shape, or form. No medical background at all. He's an entrepreneur. His nomination is ongoing. Warren today was grilling him. He was completely. Oh, that was the one I was watching. Was from his. Oh, okay, from the previous confirmation. But he has been grilled by congressmen, and he's completely folded in the face of it. He's just a yes man, just a bootlicker. So. No big shake up there. No white knight riding in to save the CDC there. That's for sure. And as I wrap up this topic, the CDC has a growing sense of despair. There's been some quotes. It's brutal, said one employee. Everyone is in tears because we love and care about this agency so much. Another one said there's a lot of trouble. Another one said, I'm sorry. That one said that Dr. Menares was an incredible mother and a public servant. I can't imagine who's going to stay at this point, said one. If they have any alternative at all, I can't imagine anybody staying at the CDC. This is why, because this guy is running it.
And I was at the bottom of my class. I started doing heroin when I went to the top of my class. Suddenly I could sit still.
Excuse me?
And I could read.
That's the guy. That's the guy making decisions for your kids' future, health.
Hey, Brett, we should just be thankful he's not the head of the education, giving kids heroin to get them to sit still and read.
Oh, my God. I'm starting an initiative. We're going to give them shots of ivermectin laced with heroin. They'll be able to read better.
The clean stuff, not with fentanyl.
Only the good stuff, no Chinese fentanyl.
That good brown.
That brown, that good. Stop, bro. Republicans, non-Trump cult member Republicans, how much are you going to sacrifice for your vote to stay staunchly Republican? I don't know what they have done to deserve your steadfast loyalty to this party. Here in Florida, Ron DeSantis led a charge to get to criminalize weed further, not decriminalize or make it more accessible. He led the charge to take it away. He led a crusade against Disney. Do you not think Republicans love weed and Disney? Women in Texas, Republican women in Texas, you're now giving up your rights to travel and other basic rights to not be pulled over if somebody should think you are pregnant. You've got your neighbors spying on you, turning you into authorities if they think you got an abortion. Your doctors are running scared. How much are we going to give up? Lower income houses, many of which are in red states. Now you're giving up Temu, Shein, Shopify, Amazon Haul, all the things in your life that made some of the things in your life that made your life easier when you went to do school shopping, bought electronics for your kids, clothes. Republicans don't like these things? You don't like these things? I just how much are you willing to sacrifice to show your loyalty just because you're comfortable voting for Republicans? You're gonna find reasons to continue to do it, and while you do, how much are you going to sacrifice?
He's just said it. He wants to have control over monetary policy in this country. The politicization of expertise is the quickest way to ruin a civilization. And whether you're politicizing health and scientists at CDC, which we will get to. Yep. Whether you're politicizing the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the jobs numbers, because you want them to sound better for you, and now politicizing monetary policy, which should be independent of politics for like very obvious reasons. This is the way you ruin an advanced civilization, by corrupting things that should exist outside of politics. And Trump's desire to make everything a political reflection of him and loyalty to him is leading to the death of expertise in all of these areas that should not be political. I know we have to go. I want to play.
Is that hyperbolic? Is that extreme? The death of expertise, leading to the ruin of civilization. That might be a little dramatic out of SE Cup there. It might be. But I think it's less dramatic than it would have been a year ago. I think it has to be given more consideration than it previously would have been. And I'm going to let Jessica Tarlov bring up one point that hasn't been brought up in a while. Obama brought this point up about 6 months ago. He had a really great sit-down interview, and he brought this point up, and it made news a little bit at the time. But I'm glad Jessica Tarlov, the bastion of sanity in that insane ocean of propaganda, lies, and spin that is Fox News, the bastion of sanity, Jessica Tarlov, brought up a point that needs to be brought up once again.
Okay. Let's say a Democratic president had absolutely no respect for Congress, a co-equal branch, appropriating funds, right to determine tariff policy. You'd be saying, what is this? This isn't what the Constitution wanted. Let's say that a Democrat was deploying the yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
Then you're a bad constitutionalist.
Oh,
Let's say that a Democrat was deploying the National Guard to cities controlled by Republicans. Let's say that a Democratic president was shaking down private businesses and saying, give me 10% of Intel, and maybe I'll make things more favorable
That's
for
not shaking
you.
down.
Yes, it is. Let's say that
you're
he made
applying
you
a
come
veneer
in.
of bias to every one of these things, and
I
then you
am
expect us
just
to agree with it.
giving
It
you
doesn't work that way.
exactly what Donald Trump is doing, but
They're
in the
trying to
form of
condescend
Barack
her,
Obama
and they're trying to
on the
demean
11th
her in real
anniversary of
time, and it
Tamsuke,
just
I
won't
might
work.
add. Let's say a Democratic president said, I would like to control what goes in our museums. I would like to control American life on campuses.
We could play this dystopian universe forever, but it's now 5:27.
He didn't. They're saying, sorry, we have to go. But you know that if a Democratic president was doing any of these things,
you can't read my
you would
mind.
be outraged.
No,
I do.
you can't read my mind.
I know you well enough.
No, you
I've been
can't
saying,
read my
yes, I know you very well.
She does know Greg Gutfeld well enough. We all know Greg Gutfeld well enough.
You have now absolutely gone too far, Greg Gutfeld.
This guy. So they demean her. They condescend her. They dismiss her. Because they know she's making a great point. Greg Gutfeld would be losing his damn mind. He and Jesse Waters' hair would literally be on fire if Biden or Obama had done any of this. Any of it. If Biden had done any of this that Trump is doing, it would be J6 times 10. There would be tourists. I'll get it right, Tom Cotton. There'd be tourists all over the Capitol with pitchforks and guillotines and riot shields. Jessica Tarlov making a point. I mean, it's not going to get us anywhere, but it's a great point. We're off Monday. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you. Happy Labor Day, guys.
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks things will be back
Tuesday.